This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hey everybody, this is Chase from Barrel Age Flicks. Go ahead and check out our Patreon for raw, uncut footage and early access to all of our episodes. The link is in the description and it's only $5 a month. Thanks for listening.
Hun er en araber. Vil tage en hund med en
He thinks your horse is too small. Something about only an Arab would bring a dog to war.
You'll need this. I cannot lift this. Grow stronger. So now I'm an animal. You're not listening. I'm deaf? You're a fool, little man. That is because, boy, your words are feeble and twisted as an old woman's. This old woman will send you to the next world, old man.
I took two at least that could not have lived.
As did I. As did we all. Even the Arab-gutted one. There was some life left in him.
They carry them on. They must have. They are demons.
Their blood looks real enough.
When you die, can I give that to my daughter?
Have we anything resembling a plan?
Ride till we find them, kill them all.
I am not a warrior. Very soon, you will be.
Hey everybody, this is Barrel Age Flicks. I'm Lenny, yeah man, and this is...
Hey, this is Ron. Let's drink and talk some movies.
We also have...
What's going on, you fucking nerds? This is Tyler. Let's talk about some modern mythology.
And finally...
This is Stu. Let's drink, motherfucker.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be our 13th Warrior episode. It's going to be awesome. And as always, this is Tyler's pick. So we're going to talk about the beverage that we're going to have, and I'm going to hand it off to him to introduce us and give us the info on said beverage. So
I fucking hate you.
Whatever happened to the word alcohol?
Yeah.
I was going to say alcohol, but he said it sounds too sterile. So I'm like, all right, fine, beverage.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the drink. We're going to talk about the drink of the gods.
There you go.
We're about to imbibe here. So for this movie, we're talking about mead, because when you talk about Vikings, you have to do as the Vikings do, which is conquer, pillage, light a boat on fire, and drink mead.
Fuck yeah.
I cannot taste neither the fermentation of grape nor of wheat. What? Why do you laugh? Honey! It's made from honey!
Nice.
So yeah, so I love that fucking scene because Ahmad takes a huge swig, and I liked him just a little bit more after that. Yeah. So if you think Vikings only drank mead, that's a misconception. Vikings actually brewed their own beer and made wine, not just mead. So the mead that we're going to be drinking today actually has a wine in it. This is Moonlight Meadery's Red Dress. They're made in Londonderry, New Hampshire. It's flavored with a red currant wine. It is a 13% ABV. Moonlight has a ton of different meads out there, and they even sell a drinking horn. Sorry, poured, ready to go?
It's already poured,
ready
to go.
So we're going to be we're going to ceremoniously drink from the same drinking horn. So,
as the Vikings,
Tyler.
I get to go first.
You get to go the first. That's your show.
So this is it's a drinking horn. It's black in color, and we're all going to sip from the same horn. It's got the meat in it.
That's fucking good.
So this is going to go a little bit longer because we're going to be each of us are drinking out of the same horn, so we're testing this stuff out. This is my first time ever drinking mead.
This is a very brotherhood moment here. I'm enjoying this. Oh my god, it
smells
very
good.
Fragrant. Yeah, I like it. Wow.
All
wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. I wasn't expecting it to be that good.
No. Wow. Damn, dude.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Holy shit.
That is good.
Bring that back over here.
Dude.
I think I took all of it. I think I drank all of it. Is that all of it?
It's getting there.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so it tastes like one.
Yeah, it does. Do you guys taste the honey at all?
I mean, it's sweet.
I do. It's got. I can taste the honey as an aftertaste, and I can smell it when I smell it.
I got nothing.
No, that's why I didn't pass it to him. I passed it to you because it's empty now.
All right.
Is the bottle empty?
I think that's all of it.
Empty.
Dude, I want more. Yeah, dude. That's fucking good.
So what's your review, Tyler?
Really?
Oh, no,
that horn
it's
had everything?
That was a whole bottle.
Holy shit.
Wow, I would have thought more.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Moonlight needs to step up their game, make bigger bottles.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude, no, that was really good. That was actually the first time I ever had mead before. It's just something I've never had. I've been to Renaissance fairs multiple times and just never ever drank mead. And yeah, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, dude.
So 2 thumbs way up.
How about you, Stu?
I've had mead. This I definitely taste a lot more of the wine component than the mead component. It did taste like a sweet wine to me. It was really good. Absolutely 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah, right? Man, this is okay. So for me, this is my first time ever having an actual mead, and it was not at all what I was expecting. It was really good.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. That's definitely something that if someone handed me like that whole bottle and said, "Oh, hey, this is some mead," after today, I'd be like, "Well, cool."
That bottle will be gone.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that bottle will be gone.
God, that was really good. 2 thumbs up for me, absolutely.
And I can see why people would get fucked up on me and wine just because
it was drinking down like water.
Exactly, you're just going to keep killing that over and over again. And like you said, 13% alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's going to sneak up on you and fuck your.
That was 13% alcohol.
Yes, it was.
That did not feel like
dude.
Really?
No, it didn't at all.
It felt. Oh my god,
that was fucking great.
I'd give it 2 thumbs up. I thought it was really good. It tasted more like a sweet wine. I'm not all for sweet stuff, but I actually did not mind that at all. I enjoyed that, and I can see going down many bottles of that.
Did it make you grow new diabetes?
Shut the fuck up.
I can see waking up with a massive fucking headache.
You're never going to hold that back, are you?
No, I am never going to let that die.
So Tyler, you knocked it out of the park with your pick here. That was
great pick.
Good pick,
I'm going to have to say that is my personal favorite of all the drinks we've had.
Really?
On all the episodes.
Even Proper 12?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because that is something that I know I could drink nonstop and just destroy my liver.
Look what you did, Tyler. You brought in another great drink. I think your drink overall, both your drinks from Fight Club and this one have all gotten thumbs up.
Praise be to Odin.
The All-Father.
All right, so let's go and get right into the movie. Actually, I'm going to talk first about the book. So, in preparation for this, I went ahead and listened to the audiobook of this story. It was originally called Eaters of the Dead. It was written by Michael Crichton, who also did Sphere and Congo. Congo is a movie that I want to do for one of our podcasts here before too long.
Excited about that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That is a really good one.
I didn't realize that Crichton wrote this one until just now.
Yep.
Really? You didn't know that?
No. Yeah, I read a lot of Crichton books, and I somehow must have missed that this was one of his films.
Well, you'll find out some more stuff about Michael Crichton in this movie. So,
yeah, so he actually wrote the book a long time ago. He actually wrote it back in the 70s. I think it was like 74, something like that. Yeah, so wrote a long time ago. So this story is actually split into 2 parts. The first part is based on the writings of Ahmad Ibn Fadlan, who's a real person. Thanks, Dick. Need the ASMR over here.
We need a fucking punishment shot.
I agree with that.
That was fucked up.
I said the shit.
Interrupt him with the fucking crunch.
Just for some clarification, what we're talking about is that loud crunching noise that you listeners may have just heard.
I'm eating chips.
That is Lenny eating in the middle of filming or recording this episode. Which was specifically asked when we were given graciously these chips by Tyler. Don't eat it during the fucking episode.
There's your beautiful vodka right there. Enjoy that more.
Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, those chips are Guinness flavored that Tyler gave me, and I can't fucking stop eating them.
Okay, but you don't eat them during the fucking show.
Don't eat them during the fucking show.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have to stay responsible for your own shit, you fucking child.
You set me up.
Drink up. Nostrovia.
Hate you guys. All right.
If only you would see his fucking reaction.
All right. Hey, can I get back to my podcast? Is that okay with you?
I guess.
You done interrupting him?
Crybabies, all of you.
No more crunches. All right, go ahead.
All right. So the story is split into 2 parts. The first part is based on the writings of Ahmad ibn Fadlan, who is actually a real person, and that first part is actually quite faithful to the source material, or at least as faithful as the existing translations of copies allows. There's no existing originals of his writings. Ahmad ibn Fadlan documented his time with the Volga Vikings. These are the earliest written accounts of the Viking people. The book is worth the read just for the description of the Viking lifestyle and culture. As example, public sex acts were common. People just start fucking just like in the middle of the hall, and it was everywhere. When Ahmad would witness this, as a devout Muslim, he would shield his eyes and say, "I beg God's pardon." The Vikings would laugh at him and say, "You Arabs are like old women who trembles at the sight of life."
Damn.
Which is kind of interesting when you think of it, like what's actually happening, but something that is natural in life, because of his very conservative upbringing, it was offensive.
Yeah.
So the Vikings were a people of war who were never at peace. This is something that Ahmad says in his writings. They were never at peace. They sang songs and told stories of warfare and bravery. To die a warrior's death was the highest honor. Every man carried an axe, a sword, and a dagger as if it were shoes and a coat. It was just a natural part of their life. They carried those things with them everywhere. War was a part of their religion in the same way the Mandalorians say that weapons are a part of their religion.
Yeah.
And it certainly explains why their armor resembles that of a Spartan or a Viking, especially the armorer's armor. You guys remember that from the episode?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The armor, I remember seeing her and being seeing the fur shawl and her helmet. I was like, she looks like a Viking.
Yeah.
And and that's exactly what she was supposed to resemble.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So with regard to their persistent inebriation, which as we just tasted from the mead, it kind of explains why. Ahmad said that their strong drink renders them as animals and stray asses. They drink day and night. It is not seldom that one of them dies with a drink in his hand, which is the most metal shit ever.
Yeah.
One man was singing a song about warfare, and a fight broke out, and the singer's face was spattered with blood. This didn't faze him at all. He simply wiped it away and kept singing. It's fucking cool.
Vikings, man, they're fucking amazing.
Hell yeah. So the second part of the book is loosely based on a poem by, the second part of the book is loosely based on the poem Beowulf, which I'm sure you guys probably were forced to read in high school, and probably didn't grow to appreciate it until later in life.
Is it the writer unknown for Beowulf?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. In the story, there's a lot of you can pick up on it, the parallels between Eaters of the Dead and Beowulf, especially with some of the characters' names. Grendel from Beowulf. You have the
Wendell.
You have the Wendell. So the Black Mist or whatever, or the people that come down from the mountains and kill and destroy and everything, like Wendell, Grendel.
Yeah.
Beowulf and Bolvi, the hero or the king rather, and the mother and the dragon. So those are all parallels. You have the queen mother and the fireworm that they talk about. Some of the things are it's not a similarity. It's actually taken directly from Beowulf, such as King Hrothgar and the sword Hrunting, which is it's not mentioned in the movie, but the sword that Bolvi carries is called Hrunting, and that's actually the exact same sword as Beowulf from the original poem.
Oh wow!
Yeah. This movie is far better than that CG animation garbage with Angelina Jolie. Do you guys remember that?
Yes,
I enjoyed that. You didn't? You guys didn't like that?
Fucking would.
No.
I thought it was pretty. It was entertaining.
No.
Really?
No.
God, I'll just go back to my corner.
Good. You think about what you just said.
You're the worst. No, I actually kind of liked it too.
Thank you.
Shut up and eat your chips.
Thank you.
I'm not allowed to because I will make noises.
No, I really didn't like that movie. I felt like that doing it in CG was a terrible idea. I didn't think the story was that bad because it was pretty faithful to the original from the original material.
Well, the director Robert Zemeckis was really using that CG in just most of every movie that he did. He did it for 3 movies: Christmas Carol, Beowulf, and also Polar Express.
Yeah, and they all had that dead look in their eyes.
They look like doll's eyes.
To me, Polar Express was the creepiest of the real life animation that they were trying to do.
Yeah,
that this came across what is that they refer to? The uncanny valley,
right?
Where it's close enough to being real, but your brain is just like, nope. This is wrong, and just rejects it completely.
But you do have a point there that this movie, in my opinion, is still one of the best. I know I'm going too fast about this, but one of the best Viking movies out there, because there's not many of them out there. I don't really know that many. Although one I can think of is Pathfinder, which I've never seen.
No, that was a good movie. I like that one.
Is it good?
Pathfinder was really fucking. That's the movie I was about to bring up. Pathfinder was fucking amazing.
All right, then I have to give that movie a shot,
because Pathfinders is it involves Native Americans and Vikings. It's like the best of both worlds as far as I'm concerned, because those are my heritage.
Well, then if you like that movie, I gotta say this: you like Marcus Nispel, who directed that movie, also directed your original remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
So, anyways, sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Have you guys seen the Viking, or not the Viking? Have you guys seen the show Vikings?
I've seen episodes.
No,
I've seen
fun
pieces
fact,
of it.
I will throw this out there. I have. So my grandparents they had a couple that they were best friends growing up. Like they literally have known them their whole entire lives. And they're like second grandparents to me, and I feel like a shitbag because I haven't spoken to them in years, because they're old school. They don't have social media. They have nothing. Like, in order for me to get a hold of them, I have to send them fucking letters and shit. They're like super hardcore old school.
Yeah.
And their son actually played a character in the entire first season of Vikings. In the second season, he's not there because he fucking died of cancer.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no shit. That's real. Like he was, and I was like, God, I got to see Vikings, because I have someone that I know through a friend who's related to someone I know that was actually an actor in the movie.
Yeah,
and I in the show, I still haven't seen it though, so I need to sit and actually watch it.
Yeah. So dude, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Another person that was in that movie, or was in that show, was the guy who actually played Bolvi, Vladimir Kulik.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
he's in Vikings.
Yeah, he's in season 1. So, and he's wearing like a wig or something like that, or his hair is just kind of in his face, so you don't really kind of pick him out. Plus, like the Vikings is about Ragnar Lothbrok. It's not about Eric. But yeah, he plays a character named Eric, and it's kind of funny because while they went through great lengths to make sure that everyone who played a Viking in the story was of Northern European heritage, and we're these tall, gigantic Nordic people, it doesn't really seem like they did that for Vikings. So Eric stands out amongst the other people, like he's this mountain amongst them, like this super tall dude. And you can kind of pick him out. And yeah, so if you watch season 1 again and you look for Eric, that's actually Vladimir Kulik, who played Bolvi in the movie.
Now I need to watch the show because I've heard good things about it. So.
Yeah, it's really good, dude. I really like it.
Is it on the History Channel? Is it History Channel?
Yeah, it was originally like a History Channel show.
Is it even still playing, or is it over with?
I think it's canceled or like it wrapped or something like that.
Okay.
I think they went to 8 seasons. I haven't seen everything.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the first 3 seasons so far. Just life gets in the way. I don't really have a chance to.
TV shows are hard to catch up with nowadays, with everybody working and everything else. That's why I have a very hard time keeping up with TV shows. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can literally you can commit days to a show, because each season can have anywhere between 6 and 20 episodes. So you're talking about a huge commitment,
right.
which is kind of like a personal gripe of mine. Whenever I have a show and they have one of those throwaway episodes that are just kind of filler, it's you're wasting my fucking time. Can we please keep on track and keep to the arc of the story?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go and get into the movie. So the original book, Years of the Dead, was written back in the 70s, and they didn't make this movie until 99, I believe it was the
1999. It was filmed in 1997, and it was delayed. Yeah,
we'll get into
Why was it delayed? Oh, okay. We'll talk later.
There's a lot of drama in this movie. A lot of drama.
Why did they choose Antonio Banderas to play a Middle Eastern?
All right, so I had already mentioned that they went through great lengths to make sure that all of the Viking characters, the 12 warriors, the original 12 warriors, were of Northern European descent or Nordic descent. They actually went through a 4-month casting process. They went everywhere from Stockholm, Sweden, to LA, to New York, all the way back to Sweden, so they could cast these actors. And they actually wanted Stellan Skarsgård, who played Dr. Erik Selvig in Thor, to play Bolvi. But apparently, I believe he was preoccupied or pre-committed to another project.
He's just that actor's in just about every single movie I've fucking seen. He's in so many movies.
Yeah, the Skarsgård family is basically in every single movie that has anything to do with Vikings or the Netherlands. Like they're in it. Even the show Vikings I mentioned, the character Floki is played by one of the Skarsgård brothers.
You remember the movie King Arthur with Clive Owen?
Yes.
He wasn't. What was he playing in that? What was he playing? Like a Moor, or was it a Viking? I don't.
He wasn't playing a Moor. I can tell you that.
I don't remember what it was. It was something, but he was also in that too. But I mean, I always see him in those type of roles.
Yeah, I think he was like some sort of like Roman or something like that, if I remember correctly. If we're talking about the same movie.
No, he wasn't Roman. It was. I have to do some research about it, but
the Skarsgård, I feel overall they're pretty damn good actors.
Oh yeah, no, they are
really
great,
fucking
dude.
good job.
Yeah, what was who played Pennywise? Which one was it? It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was one of them. It was one of the sons.
Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Bill. Yeah. I mean, the dude's fucking amazing.
And the other one was also playing in that True Blood series as a vampire, I believe, and he was also Tarzan, and he was in the new King Kong Godzilla movie. He's in fucking everything now.
Yep.
That family just grows, but.
They're the Baldwins of the Norways.
That's a good way to put it.
I like that.
But yeah, no, it's funny because they do all of that. They go through that entire casting process for the Vikings, and then they cast Antonio Banderas, a Spanish actor, to play Ahmad Ibn Fadlan.
and I'm just gonna comment one of my gripes. I have a couple small gripes, but they're not that big. But one of my gripes about this film,
you have a lot of gripes. You told me you had a shitload of gripes.
I don't have a shitload of gripes. I have a few gripes, but one of my gripes of this film is that I'm sorry, but I did not. Antonio Banderas was not believable as a Middle Eastern whatsoever. Not even for 1 second did I believe him to be Middle Eastern, except for maybe when he was on his knees praying. Maybe that. But and the black eyeliner. Other than that, dude was not fucking Middle Eastern. He did not have a Middle Eastern accent whatsoever. That was the one thing that really bothered me, is that he was not believable as a Middle Eastern person.
No, I'll totally echo that. Like he didn't try. He didn't even fucking try to have like an Arabic accent.
Not at all.
No, he sounded completely like a Spaniard.
But I will say, his frame that he carried, the way he carried himself, it did ring true to me.
Yeah,
Middle Eastern, the way.
But
his
just his accent,
his look.
I was waiting for him to pull a fucking guitar case out with guns in it. I'm like, what the?
yes.
Little Desperado reference for you people.
And that's something that it drew me out of the movie a lot. I appreciated so many of the other acting choices that were made.
Yes,
and then
for sure, absolutely.
Hearing Antonio just talk, I'm just like, okay, really?
Yeah,
fuck.
But the all the Vikings,
yes,
like those characters were fucking awesome. They were spot on. The look, the speech, the movement, the acting, the way that they held themselves.
No, I'm going to have to disagree on one of them, because one of them was a Scottish, Irish accent.
The redhead with the red beard. I didn't really pick up on it, but that's because I'm retarded. And
if you're picking up on the Spaniard of Antonio Banderas, you got to pick up on the Irish. I mean,
he didn't speak a lot though.
What about Eric the Red and people like that? I mean, the Vikings had not decimated, but they had claimed so much territory, including Irish, the Ireland areas, Scotland areas.
It's believable.
That's
believable.
They had put them as part of their group, and so that's in their groups.
That's part of the story of Vikings. Is basically the story starts where up until that point they have only raided to the east. They only raided like places like I think it was like Sweden and like in parts of Denmark. They weren't even
they come from the land of the ice and snow.
Yeah,
and the midnight sun and the hot springs blow. Hey, flip me off all you want. That's mine and my dad's song. Is the Immigrant Song by fucking Led Zeppelin. Fuck yeah.
Give me the drinking horn. I'm going to stab him in the throat.
You go right ahead and stab me. I fucking love that song. I will take it.
It is a good fucking song, but Jesus Christ, why you got to be fucking quoting it right now?
Because I'm corny and lame. That's why.
Drunk.
Shut your mouth.
But no, like that. Like, so the show takes place where it was at this point in Viking history where they weren't conscious of anything to the west. They believed it was nothing but ocean, it was actually the end of the earth. The Vikings actually believe that a serpent encircled the earth, and you didn't necessarily fall off the edge, but it was a serpent that was actually swallowing its own tail that actually was encircled the earth.
I didn't know
Interesting.
That. Yeah.
Okay.
So they believe that nothing to the west or whatever was just ocean. That was it. That was it. And that was actually the whole thing. Is Ragnar had heard stories about the West, built his own boat, and sailed west, and actually found England. As a matter of fact, actually Lindisfarne, England, where he first raided a monastery over there. That's something that actually happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The show was aired on History Channel, so you have to expect it to be at least a little bit accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a matter of fact, you ever heard of a blood eagle?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Brutal. Fucking A. Jesus.
So King Ayla, they actually perform the blood eagle on him. That's where they actually suspend them, and they cut open their back and they remove their lungs, and they actually basically fillet them open, and it looks like a eagle made of blood.
I've never heard of that. All right, wow.
Google that shit.
I will.
They don't remove the lungs; they leave them connected, but they break the ribs from the spine, behind you, and then pull the lungs while they're still connected out and lay them on top, so the lungs are creating that redness, that wings and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
That's why the blood eagle.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, going back to Antonio Banderas's casting, it's not too ridiculous if you bear in mind the invasion of Spain in 711 AD by the Islamic Moors. Antonio Banderas is actually from the south of Spain, so he's from that area. However, his character was supposed to be from Baghdad, Iraq, so he wasn't really supposed to be Spanish at all. But whatever. So,
you kind of go past it. You just enjoy the movie for what it is and don't even think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, some of the crew, to include McTiernan, were very proud of this movie because it features one of the only prayerful Muslim heroes. But they did go on to say that Hollywood in general doesn't include faithful characters very often. Take that for what it's worth. The first screen test was deemed unwatchable. So this is where we're going to kind of get into some of the drama behind the scenes of the making of this movie, and really kind of makes me wonder what this movie would have been had a lot of these events not taken place. So the first test screenings were deemed unwatchable. There were not many details about why, but the original trailer for Eaters of the Dead, as it was originally titled, is on YouTube, and you can kind of get an idea why. The original trailer was in black and red. It was very, very dark. The trailer was much darker than the.
They were trying to go for more like an action horror type of thing, basically, almost like horror.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely seems that way. It seems like it was definitely going to be more of a horror movie. And when this happened, they pushed the release date back more than a year. Michael Crichton Michael Crichton took over as the director, and Graham Revell was replaced by Jerry Goldsmith. Which, if you like the 1999 Mummy movie, you'll notice right away the score has the same sort of action adventure feel to it. And Ron, I believe you had some sentiments to say about the score.
Jerry Goldsmith is always a composer that is higher for whenever a score is rejected. In fact, believe it or not, the movie that we just did, People Under the Stairs, Graham Revell did the score to that, and Don Peaks replaced it. But in this one, Graham Revell was also a composer for this movie, and Jerry Goldsmith was hired to take over the rejected score. But in my opinion, they are so fucking different scores. Jared Goldsmith is amazing with his scores. He also was rehired to do Air Force One, which was also done by Randy Newman, and his score was rejected, and Jared Goldsmith was brought in. He's always brought in as the second composer for hire. And I think it's an amazing score. Would you guys like to hear a difference in their scores?
Dude, fuck yeah.
All right, so when you hear the original score for 13th Warrior, this is how it is. Yeah, this doesn't sound like Vikings. It sounds horrible.
I kind of want to frolic in a field and pick flowers right now.
And this is Jared Goldsmith's score. Come on.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, this is like a
fucking stab
more
people
epic.
in the face. Hell yeah.
This is epic.
So yeah,
so good.
Jared Goldsmith is amazing. I am a big fan of his scores, but yeah, no, this was definitely needed because Graham Revell's horrible.
Oh
Graham Revell's done good scores. He did The Crow and stuff like that, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so like, I mean, you can hear Jerry Goldsmith's score, and definitely you can hear The Mummy.
Oh yeah,
like it's the exact same sort.
Well, they were both done in the same year, 1999, because The Mummy came out in 1999. So you can see the similarity with them.
Yeah, so I wonder if there wasn't like some bleed over. I mean, like not to shit on Jerry Goldsmith. Like I don't know if he was just being kind of lazy, or if like he actually kind of like mixed the scores, like maybe took some rejected stuff from either movie and put it in the other. Knowing that Jerry Goldsmith did both movies around the same time, and watching The 13th Warrior again, I could hear it. Especially because I'm a huge fan of the 1999 Mummy movie.
Right.
I actually think it was a really, really fun movie.
Is that the Tom Cruise one?
No, not the Tom Cruise. Fuck no, not the Tom Cruise one.
The thing about that is when Jerry Goldsmith was brought in, he was giving us a short amount of time to do it, and in my opinion, he still did a great job composing that score in the short amount of time that he had.
Yeah.
So, but you can tell a lot of composers do that. A lot of the composers have their scores where they sound similar to their other scores. James Horner is very known for doing that. If anybody knows James Horner, he did Aliens and stuff like that. So
Braveheart.
Braveheart, yes.
We're going to do Braveheart.
Oh, that's definitely a film to do right there, huh? Of course. And Apollo 13, he also did Titanic. I mean, James Horner's done a lot of great scores. But back to Jerry Goldsmith. What's so fucking funny?
None. I'm like, okay, I really don't know shit about fucking scores. Sitting here like,
Yeah. Long live Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, that's your long lost brother.
No, seriously.
That's a good one.
No, growing up through high school, I had so many fucking people are like, you look like that guy, and I'm like,
you look like George of the Jungle.
I'm like from George of the Jungle because I had long hair in high school, and they were like, yeah, that guy. I'm like, yeah, it's Brendan Fraser.
You look like Encino Man.
Yeah, no, I got that a lot when I was growing up. So, and Brendan Fraser was awesome. I'm a big fan. If you're listening, Brendan Fraser, you're awesome. So yeah,
he's also fat.
Big fan. Yeah, I know he's fat. He had a fucking life sucked out of him by a succubus.
Oh, because he had his
ex-wife fucking destroyed him.
No, there was other things.
That's what I've heard. Anyways,
go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. So in light of the Snyder Cut and Batman v Superman, the extended cut, and Alien 3, the extended cut, I'd really like to see the original and determine for myself if it was actually unwatchable.
I'm pretty sure you're never going to see that.
Well, John
pretty sure they will never invest.
Well, it's because it's owned by Disney, and Disney doesn't have any. Disney's not going to do it. I guarantee Disney, because it's a Touchstone film, and Disney has no interest in trying to bring a movie out of it, trying to bring more money out of it, because it was a complete flop when it came out.
Yeah.
See, and this is a good example, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening, that whenever you hear critics shit on a movie, fuck them. Go, if you're interested in seeing the movie, go fucking see it and make your own opinion, because that's just it. Is this movie, I can say right now, all four of us, overall really dig this movie. Most of you that are into Vikings or into war movies will find this movie to be very good.
Yeah.
And the critics fucking shit all over this movie. So it just goes to show you, fuck them, man. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Form your own opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, there's a lot of movies out there that were flops, and you'll kind of dig into it, and you'll go into why this movie was the way that it was, and 9 times out of 10, you always hear about studio interference.
Yep.
The studio got involved and they gave their notes or what the fuck ever.
Well, see, this one was more of author interference when you think about it, because it was Michael Crichton that wasn't happy with how it was going, because it was based on his book. So then he took over and kind of lightened up the movie. He also changed the name. Instead of Eaters of the Dead, I think Eaters of the Dead would have been a better title in my opinion.
It sounds more ominous. It sounds like, oh, fuck, I want to see that. I don't know.
But I think the 13th Warrior fits the tone better of the final product.
Really?
Eaters of the Dead sounds more
Eaters
down.
of the Dead more focuses on the enemy or the bad guy of the movie, whereas the movie itself focused more on Antonio Banderas' character.
Who is the 13th Warrior.
Who is the 13th Warrior. Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it also, the title of a movie doesn't make the film at all.
Right.
I mean, look at, Seven or fucking, Brambo. Those are dumb fucking names. But those movies are great, and they stand to their own. A title of a movie really doesn't make it. But generally speaking, when you take the tone of the original trailer for Eaters of the Dead and what eventually was made, what eventually became the 13th Warrior, you can tell how the names definitely sort of embody how the movie went from a very dark tone to a much lighter tone.
Yeah.
So it's definitely appropriate. However, I would still love to see that cut. In spite of how low those chances are of like that ever being done. I would still love to see like what John McTiernan's original vision was with Graham Revell.
Now, does everybody know what John McTiernan's movies has done? He's done Die Hard. He's done Predator, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Thomas Crown Affair. He's done a lot of iconic movies.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think this was his. No, this was not his last movie. Thomas Crown Affair was.
Going back to what I said earlier about the movie being deemed unwatchable, I looked it up and actually looked up like what a test screening is. So test screenings were actually invented back in 1928 and were a cross section of people that were picked to gauge the audience reaction to a film. And I don't know what they mean by a cross section of people. I don't know if like that's like taken from what they anticipate the demographic of the movie to be, or just a like they kind of pick like a broad range of ages and like men and women and like in race and whatever. And then after they watch the movie, they're asked to complete a questionnaire. That is what happens at a test screening. I don't know, man. Like, have you guys ever really thought about that? Do you guys think that test screenings are effective or are really worthwhile?
Test screenings, I think, can definitely be effective and worthwhile, especially just from the financial aspect, because it's still Hollywood, it's still a business. And from what I understand, they do more like we said, the second part, where they'll get a wide variety of different people and then pay attention to what their backgrounds are and figure out what demographic they're aiming towards, and how to tweak the film to do that to whoever is going to spend the most money to see this film, whoever they're aiming for, and try to make it the most enjoyable of that. I think I saw, I don't even remember what show I saw, they were talking about test screenings, and they had said, all right, you can throw out the 2s and the 3s automatically. Just throw them out, ignore them, because you're never going to make them fucking happy. You can throw out the 10s, because no matter what you fucking do, they're going to fucking love you. So it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. The ones you need to focus on are the ones that are the 9s. Focus on the 9s. The ones that think the movie is so damn good, it just needs a little bit of fucking tweaking. You focus on them, you make small adjustments, and then you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say with test screening, I didn't do a test screening for a movie, but I remember this was a while back, and this is pertinent, and I'll explain why to what we're talking about. It's a form of test screening where I was in a mall with my wife a long time ago, and this random lady, approached me and said, "Oh, hey, can we get a couple minutes of your time?" Couple minutes. That's bullshit, by the way. If anyone says that, they're fucking lying. She's like, we just want to ask you a couple questions, snap, blah, blah, and we'll give you a free coupon for some
I know
bullshit.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, fuck it. Why not? Sure. Because I'm not very good at being rude. So I'm like, okay.
This is the story of how Lenny joined Scientology.
Yes. And next thing you know, I'm going clear. It was weird. No, but so she pulls me into this little area of the mall, and she's like, they sat me down in front of this computer. And they were like, just kind of answer the questions and follow the prompts. And I was like, this is fucking weird, but okay. And it was this is an actual movie that did come out eventually called We Bought a Zoo. You ever heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. So it showed me like a preview of the movie.
Yeah, you check out the trailer.
Like a trailer. And then it goes, okay, so, scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to see this movie? What do you think about this movie? And they ask you all these questions. Well, one thing that I will say, coming from that point of view, after the 7th or 8th question, I was just like, fuck this. I'm just answering the questions because I want to get the fuck out of there because I got shit to do. I don't have all day to fucking sit around and answer this stupid fucking questionnaire. So that's another thing to take into consideration is that, when they say test screening, what were the circumstances? What was the mood? What was the thought process of these people that were watching this movie? Were they having a good day? Were they not having a good day? You can sit there and go, you go and you see a movie that ordinarily you'd say was a good movie, but you just found out hours before that your fucking wife's been cheating on you. Guess what? You're going to be in a fucking shitty mood, and you're probably not going to give a fuck about what you're watching. And you're probably going to give it a shitty, so there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of oddball things that can occur with something like that. So to say, oh, well, the test screenings came back and everyone fucking hates this movie. Well, there are circumstances that could alter that. So I don't believe in that shit.
I don't believe in test screenings at all.
No.
I'm sorry.
See,
To me, I think you should go for the
understand
director's vision.
Your argument about depending on, some people could be having a bad day, but you're playing the law of averages. Then you bring in, let's say, 300 people to do a test screening.
Yeah,
300 people aren't going to be all having a fucking bad day at the same fucking time.
That's true.
All right, so let's say 10% are having a fucking bad day. That's 30 people. All right, and then you can throw away the 2s and the 3s, like the previous statement said. And they're having a bad day. You ain't gonna fucking make them happy. Fuck them.
Right.
And so you still got 270 people that you're listening to out of that 300 people.
So, did you guys know that in the original Rambo story, we referenced Rambo earlier? The original Rambo story, the book, Rambo actually dies in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Rambo actually dies in the end of the story. So they actually made the movie as such. They did the test screenings. It fucking went horrible, and they asked the people, like, well, what was wrong with it? Well, we didn't like the ending. Like we had this character Rambo that we liked so much, and then he just dies at the end.
Yeah.
And so they redid it. They reshot it. They filmed it with Sly Stallone living, Rambo living, and it performed much better. And then of course became like Rambo 2, 3, 4, 35.
Yeah.
Even to the point where they wanted to make a Rambo in space.
I hope they don't fucking do that.
They're not, but they were at one point.
But I gotta say that was probably one instance where test screening was successful or was a good thing.
That's an instance that you know about. I know there's been several films, several shows. They redo a lot of shit because of the test screening. Some of them, of course, could turn out a situation like we're talking about here. But other ones can turn out to be like Rambo.
Wasn't Evil Dead
yeah,
one of it?
Remember we talked about
the whole ending.
They
Darkness.
wanted where it was originally, him in the future. They decided, no, we want to go ahead and back to the present.
So, Tyler, tell us a little bit more about the drama of everything else. So after the test screening came back bad, what happened from there?
Oh, so from there, like they did the test screenings. They changed out the directors. They changed out the composer, and they produced the movie. And basically, what happened was that they produced a massive box office bomb, costing $160 million to make, but actually only grossing $61 million worldwide.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Massive
but
fucking loss.
There is something about the movie. You can tell that it was cut up. You can tell very much that it was cut up, that there was a lot of fast edits in here and there, especially at the end during his funeral for Bulwolf. Bulvai, yeah, his funeral is just so fast, and you can tell, man, there's so much more to that.
It was so bad that Omar Sharif, who played Melchizedek, he's Ahmad's friend, or like
the translator.
His mentor or whoever he is in relationship to him. He was in Lawrence of Arabia. So when this guy came onto the set, he was a legend, he was a god among men. Everybody was just like, oh my God, that's Omar Sharif. This movie went so poorly that he actually took a break from making movies for a while because of this.
I think his movie after that was so far that was Hidalgo or something like that with Viggo Mortensen. You ever heard of that one?
Yeah, maybe.
It's directed by Joe Johnston. That was his last movie that he did, and he was kind of almost like the same type of character in that.
Yeah, it was so bad that he took a break, and he said that if he wanted to do movies, he said that he wanted to do movies that were actually good and not just a paycheck. So obviously, this movie put a pretty bad taste in his mouth.
Kind of reminds me of Sean Connery.
That's exactly what I say. So it's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yep. Yes.
So I remember. So that one of the YouTube things that I watch is that Watch Mojo. Have you ever heard it before?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But they do a lot of top 10 stuff, and that's fascinating to me. And they had a top 10 worst movie flops, and 13th Warrior was one of them. And again, it pisses me off because I'm very open-minded when it comes to stuff like this. And when I found out that we were doing this, movie for this podcast, I watched the movie with that in mind. And I was sitting there and I was like, okay, yeah, there's a few, minor things here and there that I'm like, it's not the best. But the overall story and the overall movie was really fucking good.
Yeah.
So I'm just I don't know, man. The whole critics and it being a flop and that, I never listen to that shit. I always go, if I'm interested and I think it's going to be good, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I'm going to go see it and then make my own opinion based off of what I see.
Yeah, see, I don't see this movie being as people think it's one of those bad movies. It's so good. I think it's actually a really decent movie. There's a lot of flaws and everything else, but I think it's a good guy movie too. I think it's a very good guy movie.
Very masculine movie.
You remember that thing that TNT movies for guys that love movies.
Yes,
that's what this would be.
I love that fucking show.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
There's also a tradition for Navy SEALs before they, or I shouldn't say Navy SEALs, prospective Navy SEAL candidates before they start Hell Week. You guys know what Hell Week is?
Yes.
Yeah. So before they start Hell Week, apparently it's a tradition among the sailors to watch like a movie before Hell Week to kind of get them get the morale high, get them ready to face what they have to go through for the next 100 whatever hours that it is, whatever of hell they have to go through.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, whatever it's Braveheart. They watch Braveheart. This would be a great movie that they would watch before that. Apparently they watch Apocalypse Now occasionally or whatever, which is not really the best movie or whatever for it. But either way, this would be a great movie, a great war movie to kind of get you into that spirit of brotherhood and war and and fighting for honor that I think that you would need to go through something like that.
That reminds me of that speech at the end. I know I'm fast forwarding all the way to the end of the movie, but that speech when they're all together and they're all saying that prayer, amazing. Yeah. I get chills whenever I watch that scene.
Right before that battle, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, they all know that, there's a 90% chance we're all about to die, and they're willing to do it.
We're going to get there.
Yeah.
We're going to get there.
Continue.
Save it for right now. No, I mean, I totally understand what you guys are saying. It fucking ramps you up. But we're gonna get to that point. All right, so let's. All right, so I want to kind of talk about the plot of the movie,
sure.
and talk about some of the differences with the book. I totally think that the book is worth anybody's time. I cheat. I don't actually read books. I don't like to read. I actually don't read books. A lot of the time I'm listening to audiobooks in between drives and everything, or just doing stuff around the house. And it's so far it's been great. I can't say anything bad about it because it enables me to consume these books and learn quite a bit. All while I'm still doing other things that I have to do to live my life. And this book is only 5 hours long or something like that. And Eaters of the Dead is a great book that I would recommend to anybody. Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of the differences between the movie and the book, and kind of working through the plot. And you guys just kind of jump in at any point in time. Tell me about things like that that you really loved and or just kind of struck you a certain way, or maybe something that you didn't like. So starting off, so Ahmad Ibn Fadlan is a poet who lives in Baghdad, and he falls in love with another man's wife. In the movie, Ahmad just kind of gives her a passing glance. In the book, he actually fucks her in the man's house. He comes to his house on some sort of business. He's made to wait for hours and hours and hours. The man has multiple wives. She comes out, kind of seduces him a little bit. He enjoys her, as he puts it, and the man finds out about it. The problem is that the man was actually close to the caliph, and convinced the caliph to make Ahmad an ambassador to the land of the Tartars, which is a place in North Central Asia, as an ambassador. This is a suicide mission because the Tartars are murderers and thieves. So he sent him on a suicide mission. While he's there, he meets the Northmen, or the Vikings. They're having a funeral for their fallen king. In the book, King Vycliffe it was ill and was dying in a tent. He wasn't actually dead when they got there. He was still actively dying, because that's something that the Vikings would do. And this is from Ibn's writings. They would put the sick person into a tent, and they would leave them alone because it was believed that if they should recover, they should do it on their own power.
Right.
And they meet Bulvi, who is the prospective heir to the throne, and Herger, Herger, who they communicate with in Latin.
Herger the Joyous, I believe.
Yeah, hell yeah. So Ahmad is asked to tell them a tale to entertain them. And while Ahmad is telling the story about the beginning of time, a man tries to kill Bulvi. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie. So while he's trying to tell the story, Bulvi, this man tries to kill Bulvi, and without hesitation, Bulvi cuts his chest wide the fuck open and then sits back down like nothing even happened.
Yeah,
it is so fucking cool. Yeah, it's amazing, dude. And I actually read somewhere that man was actually supposedly Bulvi's brother, which makes it even more fucking cold. Well, because apparently he was the prospective king, and the brother wanted the throne for himself, so he tried to kill his brother, and Bulvi was like, "No, bitch," fucking took him out. So that makes it even more badass.
After killing your brother, just sitting back down like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That is just hardcore metal shit right there.
Yeah.
It's Vikings for you, man.
God.
Yeah. So after that, the next day they witness a Viking funeral. So you grew up hearing about a Viking funeral, and like in this movie, you actually get to see it. The king is put on a boat with a woman dressed in white, and she says like the most badass prayer: "Lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother, my sisters, and my brothers. Lo, there do I see the line of my people back to the beginning. Lo, there they do call to me. They'd bid me take my place among them in the halls of Valhalla, where the brave may live forever." The boat is then lit on fire. So the details of the funeral are much stranger in the book. The king is placed in a grave for 10 days, and while new clean clothes are made for him, among other preparations. The Vikings, like the Egyptians, believe that you take with you your own possessions. So, like, it's not like how we believe, like, when you die, your soul goes to heaven or wherever. They believe that whatever you own in this life, you take with you to the next, but you have to be buried with it.
Valhalla.
So the king's boat is brought ashore. The king is laid upon it, surrounded by food. They sacrifice dogs, horses, and roosters, and they place the bodies in the boat. The woman who has voluntarily agreed to go with her master, who has been tended to hand and foot for the last 10 days, now has ritualistic sex with 6 men on the boat. Those same 6 men then hold her down by each limb and by the neck, as an old woman referred to as the angel of death stabs her in the chest with a dagger. The king's closest male relative walks backwards towards the boat with a torch and lights it.
Oh my God!
Jesus.
Yep. That is taken.
Holy shit!
That is directly taken from Ahmad's writings, and that is what a true Viking funeral would have looked like.
That was in the book?
That is in the book.
But wow, I can tell why that was taken out.
Yeah, holy God.
So if you like this movie and you want like a much more like fucking hardcore story, read the book.
Good God.
I didn't know Michael Crichton would write something like that. I'm going to have to definitely check that
if
book
it's based
out.
on
I know, but
Ahmad's writings, then that's where he gets the source material.
Yeah,
from.
like this is making me really want to listen to that book. So
yeah, take the time, man. Like it's totally worth it. So the next day, a young boy named Wolfgar shows up asking Bolvi to help them with a terror that has no name and must not be named. Everyone looks terrified. These are men who are absolute killers, stone cold fucking killers. And here's this small boy telling them about this plague that they're dealing with, and they all look scared. Like, I mean, that's some shit that would make me unnerved. Like seeing like those things, seeing like these fucking giants being scared of something like that, like a story, a fairy tale. It would seem like. So Ahmad asks, what could have this effect on people like this? Like what could terrify a group of people so large? They ask for the oracle because there's always like some old lady who has the answers in every single story. See like even like the Friday the 13th movies, like like you all going to die.
Yeah,
there's always like some old person whoever has all the fucking answers. She takes these bones. They're not sure if they're from animals or if they're from humans. Shakes the bones up and she puts them out like on this fur rug, and she says that 13 warriors must go for the 13 months in a year because fuck the Gregorian calendar. And so and the book goes into a lot more detail about why the 13th warrior should be foreign. So the number 13 permeates the Viking culture. The Vikings understood that there are not always 13 moons in a year. The 13th moon is considered magical and foreign, so the warrior himself should be magical and foreign. Huh. So that's something they kind of glossed over, like in the movie. You can even like kind of look at the bones, and you can see like how most of the bones are white, and there's like she's like "Akabakada" or whatever it says, like something in Scandinavian, and the bone that she holds up is a darker shade.
Yeah.
So like that
in the dark, man.
I do really like that scene when all the warriors are being picked for the 13, and each of them are like, and giving their names and talking in their language and says, I'm ready for this. Like you don't know what they're saying, but you know that they're ready to go to battle. Like they're willing to. They're doing this for honor and stuff like that. I love that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, dude. It's so the Vikings start volunteering like one by one, and each one just you can tell like they couldn't be more proud. Like I'm like, I will go and I will die for this. And it's absolutely an honor for them to do that. So they announce their willingness like with their heads held high and their chests forward. The others cheer. And then the oracle says that the 13th warrior cannot be a Northman. Ahmad gets voluntold that he is going to war, and from there the journey begins. Ahmad is in the wilderness with these 12 giants that he can't communicate with. In the book they said that he's on the road for months and months and months because they're going from North Central Asia all the way up to, I believe, Denmark is where they ultimately end up. So you can only imagine how long that travel would take by boat and by camel and horse and everything. Or I guess by horse. So yes, and in the course of all that, Ahmad actually learns how to communicate with them.
Amazing scene. I love that scene.
And Ron has told me before that this is one of his favorite scenes. So I'm going to yield to him and let him talk about that a little bit.
Oh man, that scene basically when he's just listening, they're all just talking stories in their own language, and he's starting to understand what they're saying. And part where you can tell that the Vikings are even talking about him, and he starts to know about it. And then all of a sudden, he just sprouts out in their language. My mother, what was the line? Do you have that down?
My mother was a pure woman.
Yeah.
Not you big son of a whore or something like that. And it's just an amazing scene and how he just learns. And they don't even know, how did you learn our language? Says, I listened. It was. I just love that scene.
I listened.
Did I do the accent? I listened. Oh my god! All right, get back in the fucking movie. Let's go.
All right. So yeah. So Bolvi notices this, and he definitely picks up that Ahmad has an attention to detail, and he's very, very analytic. And he asked Ahmad if he's able to write sounds. And Ian actually asked Ahmad to teach him how to write. And Ahmad, writes some stuff like in the sand, and Bolvi just kind of walks away. And you're like, did he want to learn this or not? And you actually realize that that Bolvi, saw what he wrote and took note of it, and that's all he needed. And he came back later and he actually wrote it.
I almost think that he respects him in a way.
Yeah. So they arrive. Someone passes Ahmad a sword, and he says he can barely lift it. To which the Viking says, just get stronger. Which I love that. I love that response.
I love that mentality.
Just get stronger.
Yes, that was one of my most enjoyable scenes. The way Ron loved the sitting around the campfire learning language, just the blatant disregard and just saying, no, what the fuck? No, just get stronger. Why are you complaining?
Well, see, but that goes to another scene coming up. I guess it's forward, but we'll get to it. I guess the scene about when he turns one of the swords into his own type of sword, to an Arabian sword.
Yeah. Because the sword was just too
heavy,
too heavy, and too wieldy or unwieldy, whatever for him to handle. So he cuts it down to something that he's a little more familiar with. He comes down to basically what's what could be called a scimitar or something like that.
Yeah.
Something he's a little bit more familiar with, and it works out for him, obviously.
Just like the horse, because his horses, all the Vikings, they had these huge horses, and he's got this small Arabian horse, which they make fun of him, thinking that's a dog, that's not a horse. But they noticed that thing could fucking run and jump and everything else.
What pissed me off about him cutting down that sword, that would have just completely weakened that sword. And the first real good hit that he swung on something, that would have shattered like it was made of glass.
Really?
Once you've hardened a sword like that, versus the hard metal, soft metal, and the different edges, once you've hardened a sword like that, you try to make modifications to it, you're completely fucking with the structural integrity.
Yeah.
So Viking swords were actually incredibly hard to construct. If you want to learn a little bit more about that and kind of what Stu was talking about, you can look up on YouTube what it took to make a Viking Ulfbert sword. And there's a group out there called Man at Arms, and they build a Ulfbert sword, which is a composite of a pure iron and cast iron, and it has to be done a very, very specific way. Otherwise, the blade will just shatter or crack or something, and there's a lot of tempering and hardening that has to be done. It's kind of amazing that they were able to figure that out over 1,000 years ago and make these what were at the time were probably perceived to be magical implements at the time. But there's a ton of proverbs and small things like that we kind of talked about, where they just said like, well, you can't lift the sword, get stronger. A lot of small phrases and proverbs that they tell to Ahmad throughout the movie, where like, for example, fear profits a man nothing. And there's a lot to be said about that, where, you can be nervous or anxious about anything, but really it doesn't help you. And you have to love that logic, and that's coming from men that lived over 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
Another one that I really like is, animals die, friends die, and I shall die. But one thing never dies, and that is the reputation that we leave at our death.
Yeah.
Yep. That absolutely holds true to this day.
Yep.
This one's a little bit more pessimistic, but it's still true nonetheless. Praise not the day until the evening has come, a woman until she is burnt, a sword until it is tried, a maiden until she is married, ice until it has been crossed, and a beer until it has been drunk. And that kind of goes along.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to be said about don't judge a book by its cover, and it has I kind of feel like that kind of fits in very well with this proverb that don't pass judgment on something until you've actually used it or come to know it, or or whatever. It's about not passing judgment and to kind of wait and see until you actually know that thing, until you pass judgment on it. All right, so you could say that that Ahmad gains their respect with his analytic personality, his ability to learn their language simply by listening, or his ability to ride a horse. I don't really think that he actually gains the respect until later in the movie, because while he certainly impressed them somewhat, it's not until they have their first battle with the Wendell, and Herger finds Ahmad and says, "Well, he didn't run." Because they sort of expected him to at the first sign of danger or whatever to just flee, and Ahmad proves that he is not only he's not a coward, and that he can stand and he can fight, and he even manages to gut one of them and is wounded himself. And this is sort of a common rite of passage in most modern professions, such as the fire department, police officers, military, loggers, fishermen, dangerous professions where and until that person is tried, the new member is often treated as inferior and suspicion of being a coward. And it's only after they're actually put in a life or death situation and they perform and they prove themselves that they're actually welcomed into the fold and kind of considered to be one of them. And it's after this battle that I think that Ahmad really kind of becomes a Viking. He becomes a Northman.
But they all become brothers in a way.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it shortly after? Because I don't remember. I memorized the movie or anything, but I want to say it wasn't until after that first battle that they started referring to him as little brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that at that point they're like, okay, you're one of us. You're family, and we are going to watch out for you, and we're going to fight side by side. You know?
I love how Herger the Joyous is always next to him. They become really good friends throughout the movie.
Yep.
All the way to
the scene I would like to talk about that really stuck with me. That was a little bit earlier than this, when they get to the village, and Ahmed is looking out, and he sees that little boy, running naked in the distance, and how then everybody sees and rides out towards trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. I just thought that was such a powerful scene to see this little naked little boy running just covered in blood.
Yeah.
And does anybody know this child? And one of the women from the town came and talking to him, and just to understand the fear that the people in the village have
against the Wendell,
and to see how I took it as that little child was a stand-in for the entire village.
Yeah.
A little naked, scared child, and then they're running and looking for help from these 13 warriors.
Which all I kept thinking about was how they must have sat down to coach that kid on how to do that scene. Okay, you're going to be naked, and we're going to put paint on you, and you're going to run in that direction, and when people get to where they get close enough, you're going to yell gibberish, because the kid doesn't fucking know. You're going to yell this stuff, and the kid's just okay, because I'm sitting there how else would you prepare a kid because he was young.
He was screaming a lot.
4 or 5 years old, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs.
Bloody murder, basically.
Yeah, it was a very powerful scene.
Yeah,
it was
and
good
just
stuff.
imagining what the character of that child must have seen, and then having to run from his family's home to the village like that, and just how terrifying that had to have been for that character.
Absolutely.
It just really resonated with me in a deep level.
Yeah, man.
Having seen kind of messed up shit with kids from my past, and I ain't gonna say camaraderie, but the brotherhood that is tightened up because of how much a child can be universally accepted among everybody, and realizing how fucked up the situation is. And tighten the bonds.
Because I think that's when the entire 13, like that's when their assholes puckered, like, oh fuck, this is real. You know, like we need to go see. And then like when they got to where the kid came from, and they saw the carnage, and that's when it was like, oh shit, whatever we're dealing with is fucked up, and we got to do something about it quick.
That scene, the fact that they don't have fences is not their problem,
right? Did that scene come after the battle, or the first battle, or did that or
before?
It came.
It was
before.
So all 13 were still alive.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember some of them died inside the first battle.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. We kind of skipped over that.
That's okay.
But that is an important scene, because like that was where they sort of became. Like semi acquainted with the Wendell. They saw what they were capable of. They found like their talisman, their little sculpture, like
the mother
of the mother queen. Mm-hmm. And every single time like they found one of those, I don't know if it was displayed in the movie or not, but it was definitely written about in the book. Every single time they found one of those, like they destroyed it. They either crushed it or they threw it into a fire.
Yeah, they did not. I do not remember them showing that in the movie at all.
Yeah,
but that would make sense. The superstition almost that would be associated with finding a talisman like that,
right?
Yeah, because I remember when they pulled it out, the other guy just like spit on it. And
Yeah. So like it's after this and after the initial battle that they have with them, and they realize that like that. They know that they killed a couple of them, but they've disappeared. They've taken all their heads. And they're definitely kind of shaken by the first attack, and Skeld, the man who has like the Celtic knotting across his face.
Yeah.
He says in the most like terrified voice, like they are demons. Like he's really this Viking, this natural born killer, this warrior for life. Is scared and says that these are not people, they're right. Demons.
Yeah.
It's after this that that Bolvi says we need to make fortifications. We need to build a fence. We need to dig holes and fill them with water, create a moat and everything. And it's during this that Ahmad is given a sword, and he's unable to wield it. So he takes it to a blacksmith, and he cuts it down and makes sort of a scimitar out of it.
You insisted.
Yeah. And again, that's when the guys start fucking with him, and they're like, give an Arab a sword, and he makes a knife. And he flips it around, does this little fucking parlor trick, and his buddies or his new friends are completely unimpressed with him, and he says, when you die, can I give that to me daughter?
that was awesome.
The title.
Yes.
When you die, can you give that to my daughter? Or give that to my daughter? Why am I doing that? Shut up. All right. You got that. Yeah, I try.
Okay.
Scottish.
That was completely Scottish right there.
So after this is a pretty pivotal scene. So Ahmad meets this hot maiden named Olga. She's pretty hot, but her name's not so hot. Olga, and she says that the locals fear that he will bring upon them the fire serpent of the dragon, the fire worm.
Yeah,
and Ahmad, being the man of God that he is, he doesn't believe in such things. And then this great horn sounds over the hills, like a carnix, and descending from the summit of the mountain is a great serpent of fire. So, are you guys familiar with what a carnix is?
No.
Yeah. All right. So a carnix is an ancient war horn that was used by Celtic tribes. It was usually made of iron, and it was long, and when held up vertically, the warrior and the horn would be probably about 12 feet tall. The head was formed into the shape of a wolf or a boar. Roman soldiers actually wrote about the battles. They wrote about the battles with the barbarians of the Gaul. So that's northern Europe, not necessarily England, but yeah, they would write about the battles with these tribes, and they would hear this screaming sound. And that was right before, like, these hordes of barbarians would come, like, barreling down the hills at them and just fucking destroy them.
Yeah.
And some of the Gaul were, like, some of their battles with the Gaul were some of the worst that the Romans had ever experienced up until that point, because, like, the Romans had pretty much conquered, like, as far as the lands that was known at the time. And, like, in the Gaul were actually some of the people that gave them, like, the most trouble. So, yeah, so you can imagine them being in this dark, strange, cold world of Northern Europe, the dense mist. They would hear a loud horn from hell. And then from the wilderness, like, these savages, like, would come, like, clad in leather with these axes, just barreling at them. And this is what a Karnak sounds like.
It's pretty awesome.
I like that.
To hear that coming through the mist or the fog of Northern Europe, and then before you start seeing a mass horde of, if I remember correctly, they were barely clothed warriors bearing down, and you would have to be terrifying.
Yep.
Like this particular tribe, not to like veer off path too much, have any, like, so this tribe of guys, and like the way that they're cannibals and they're savages and they mutilate people and they kill them and all the crazy shit they do, they very, very much remind me of the Native American tribe that is portrayed in Bone Tomahawk. Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah.
Remember those guys? They were fucking vicious. Like they like slaughtered that guy like he was cattle right in front of the other people, and then like fucking just ate him. Like this tribe, like, absolutely reminded me of that movie as well. Like, just they're not even
I have a
human.
question, though.
They're just fucking animals.
Were they supposed to be like Neanderthals though in the book?
Yeah. All right. So the fire dragon, or the fireworm coming down from the top of the mountain, is actually just the Wendell with torches. Ahmad is terrified either of war, or that he believes that these creatures are actually evil spirits. The battle ensues, and Ahmad is forced to fight. Ahmad pins one of them to the ground, and its headpiece falls back and reveals a human face. And up until this point, they believe that these creatures to be demons. And Ahmad says it's a man, and he repeats it to himself over and over again. It's a man. It's a man. It's a man. And he goes full berserker mode, and he starts cleaning fucking house with this tiny little sword. And at the sight of Herger, at the sight of this, Herger says, "It's all right, brother. There are more."
It's all right, little brother. There are more.
Yeah. So after their marginal victory, Bolvi makes the decision to attack the Wendell in their own lair. They consult a crazy old elder lady about the attack, and they're told to kill the queen. This is not actually as it happens in the book. In the book, they speak with magical dwarves who know Bolvi and about his quest, and they laugh at him and tell him to kill the queen, as the warrior does not attack the fingers of a man, but actually attacks his head or his heart. As they're leaving, the maiden Olga gives Ahmad a mournful touch as he leaves without looking at him, as if he were a ghost. And you get the impression that this is a suicide mission, and she fears that she'll never ever see him again. And they enter the land where the Wendell live, and it's called the Desert of Dread in the book. And they find
Desert of Dread.
Yeah. So in the book they call it the Desert of Dread, and that's just because it's a land where men do not go. It's not like like a desert of sand or anything like that. It's just a place where men do not go.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the Wendell live.
Okay, now do the Wendell in the book, is it more of like a forest type of area?
Yeah, so that's another thing too. So in the movie, the Wendell believe themselves to be bears. In the book, it's not so much.
Oh, okay. So that's completely movie made. Okay.
Yeah. They do find where they have these posts with bear skulls on top of them, but that connection where the Wendell believe themselves to be bears is not really in the book.
And there was a question, Tyler, that you had posed earlier about what each of us had an opinion of what our impression was of this tribe. I know that I'd mentioned earlier that I very much equated them to being the same as the Bone Tomahawk, and they don't really mention what the name of those particular Indians are. They just they talk about them like they're fucking mythic creatures almost, because they're so incredibly dangerous, and savage that they just don't want anything to do with them. That even when they go and they find a Native American who's like, he's supposed to be one of the experts on tracking, and then I'm talking about Bone Tomahawk for a second. He refuses. He's like, I don't care. I'm not going. Period. End of story. You can do whatever you want with me. I will not go. He's like, I can point you in the direction of where they are, and I can let you know that they're beyond fucking dangerous and that you're going to die if you go into their lair. That's about as far as it's going to go with me. And this tribe, I equate it to that basically, in the fact that they're going into their turf, into their home.
Yeah.
Albeit an incredibly fucking awesome strategy. And I was like, yes, you know. Also super fucking dangerous, because if more than one or two of them, like, you know, get wind of your presence, you're fucking done.
Yeah.
It's over. You know, you're going to get swarmed on like fucking ants or something. So that was my impression of that tribe.
What I think they are basically just cannibals. They're just basically like what's a way to say that a race that is that it's not
primitive?
Heathens.
Yes, that's the word I was trying to think of. Thank you.
The way I interpreted
let me
them through the film is they were more of a tribe of people whose entire life and religion was based upon the mother queen figure, and it'll be passed along, and you know, one group after another, you know, one generation after another, but they've been in their own seclusion, and this group of Vikings, Northmen, whatever you want to call them, from the village that the 13 warriors are there to help, are starting to encroach on their generational land, and so they're striking back in the way they always have been, which is more primitive, more animalistic. That's are more one with nature, and also, but still very devout in their own religion, which is a completely different religion base than what the Vikings are, what Ahmed is. That's their own belief system, and so they're fighting for what they think is right for them in their own way, sort of more of a jungle warfare, shock and awe situation than what the Vikings at that point were used to. That's the way I've interpreted them, at least.
Like very hive-like, like their mindset. They just, like, they'll do anything it takes to protect the queen. They'll do anything it takes to achieve their goal, no matter how many of them need to be killed.
Yes.
Whatever it takes.
Yes, because they're protecting what they believe in their the center of their entire being is the Queen Mother, and their ancestral land.
Right.
Primitive and animalistic is what I was trying to think about. It's just I couldn't think of the words in my head. So
yeah. So like my question about the Wendell is why haven't they been attacking the Vikings for years? Because, you know, until this point, Wolfgar doesn't show up until, you know, right as King Vycliffe is being buried. Why doesn't he show up any sooner? Like, because when they go to the cave, you can kind of tell this is a permanent habitation. This is not like they're not nomads moving from place to place to place, like, you know, like the like the Iroquois or something like that, or not necessarily the Iroquois, the Sioux, like where they had like these teepees that they could you know, pack up and move and go from place to place and follow the buffalo. That wasn't the case with them. It seemed like they had like this permanent habitation that they were living in for a long time. So why weren't they attacking the Vikings, you know, years before that?
The reason I think it is as the Vikings are settled there, they're slowly spreading out their farms and you know, taming the land, being more of a permanent settlement, permanent kingdom for them.
Yeah.
And they eventually crossed that imaginary border between the Wendell and their land, and the Wendell felt encroached upon. And all right, we need to stop what they view as invaders into their land. And to do that, they need to strike at the heart of the invaders.
Yeah. In the book, part of the reason why they believe that the Wendell have been attacking is because they believe it's because of King Hrothgar's arrogance. So his hall is this grand hall, like, you know, lined with, like, you know, gilded with silver and gold and everything, and it's at the top of this cliff. And they believe it's insulting to the gods, and that's why the Wendell have attacked. In the book, it doesn't really say anything about that being a new settlement or anything like that for the Vikings, but I think that's definitely a good theory. I had this idea that based on like their appearance, both described in the book and in the movie or whatever, that these might be like Neanderthal hybrids. That's one thing that they've learned from 23andMe and DNA testing, is that they actually found that most people of Northern European ancestry have a small little bit of Neanderthal DNA, hinting that that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals actually interbred, thousands and thousands of years ago. So that most people of that ancestry have a little bit of DNA in them. So to me, when I saw these characters in the movie and read about them, it seemed like they were Neanderthals. And actually, it's in the prologue of the book that that was actually Michael Crichton's intention, is that these were actually a rogue tribe of Neanderthals that had survived up until this point and attacked the Vikings.
I would say that one theory that I would have about this particular tribe and why they haven't spread out, why they haven't attacked the Vikings, is because it's all about their motive. It's all about what drives them, what their particular, in their minds. In my opinion, if you have a group of people or a group of a race of people that are willing to do anything it takes, to include eating other human beings in order to survive without batting an eye, that group of people, in my mind, their mindset is not on conquest and expansion and glory. Their mindset is on survival. That's it. Period. We survive. We keep ourselves alive. That's it. It's very cut and dry. So that type of group of people, they're not going to spread out. They're not going to try and gain more land or whatever, because by gaining more land and gaining more territory, you're trying to gain more control, more glory. That's the whole reason why you do that. These group of people, all they want to do is survive and continue to breed and just be their own little thing in their own little area and keep control of their area. And I think that the reason why they started attacking the Viking people that were close by was because of convenience. They were close by and they were a source of food. And because you notice that these guys, they don't attack at night maybe. But they don't attack in the broad daylight usually. It's always in the mist. It's always mysterious. And why is that? Because they're not trying to attack to try and conquer and everything else. They're attacking because they're trying to find a food source. And they want to do that the most efficient way possible. What's the most efficient way to do that?
So what's the whole thing about collecting the heads?
It's probably something to do with what Stu was saying about their religion. They probably believe somewhere, they have some weird convoluted belief that it's some sort of religious powerful thing.
Because if you think about the talismans they wore, it was the Queen Mother talisman didn't have a head,
right?
Didn't have limbs, or it was just the body.
Maybe the only one that's allowed to have a head, the only one that's allowed to think, is the mother, the queen. The rest of them don't think. They're drones. They do what they're told. They follow the path that they're given, and that's the end of it. And if it involves them dying, absolutely no problem. Right. Period. And so they wouldn't even blink an eye.
Yeah. Did it ever imply that they cannibalized themselves? Ever?
Not really.
So then I'm wondering if they viewed the Viking settlement as not equal, not the same creatures that they are. And
they're animals.
They're more of a source of food. They're cattle.
To battle on that.
Well, I mean, they've killed
the local wildlife.
Well, you remember that part when they're in the cave and they're stepping on all the skeletons and all the skulls everywhere.
And the bones,
and there's there are thousands of them all over the place. I mean, it just tells you. I mean, who are all those people?
That could be they're dead, and then they just picked clean. One of the
eat their own kind.
I could see them cannibalizing their own kind once they die of natural causes or something.
One of the determining factors of a advanced quote unquote society was how they treat their dead,
right?
Whether they buried them and they don't treat them with respect or something like that, or they just fucking let them just fucking do what they got to do, and then just they're dead.
Yeah.
So that's why I took it. That was they're dead, and they've been there for generations in that cave system. And when they die, they just fucking put them down there, possibly eat the fucking meat, knowing that they're fucking dead, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they find the lair and they make entry, and it's a little different in the book. In the movie, they kill the one. Like the one Wendell, they put the bear furs on. They walk across the bridge, and they attack them. They go in basically through the front door. In the book, they actually go through. They go through down a cliffside because you remember about the thunder waves or whatever, the thunder cliffs. Yeah, thank you, thunder cliffs. Yeah. So in the book, they actually go down the thunder cliffs. They actually go in They actually going through the cliffs. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They make like a rope and with the stick kind of pushing themselves off from the cliff, like descend the cliff face and actually going through the caves on the water side.
Jeez.
And make entry that
Which
way.
is in the movie. They exit out it that way, didn't they?
Yeah. And somebody almost drowned when they filmed that.
Yeah.
Really? I'm not surprised. That's fucking crazy.
Was it Herger the Joyous, the actor who played him?
Yeah, I don't know. One of them was
Antonio Banderas actually saved him.
Yeah.
Dude, that's scary, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they find the lair of the lair of the mother, and you can see like Skeld's head hanging in the roots that are hanging down in the cave.
Yeah.
And as he's fighting the mother poisons him with some sort of talon, and Bolvi cuts off her head. The Wendell let out like this scream, and the warriors know that they can't leave this the same way that they came. And so they make an escape by swimming out to the Thunder Cliffs.
Yeah, which actually was a pretty entertaining scene.
Yeah, scene fighting the mother, where she just takes that talon and just dips it, just one little drop of the venom.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Did you?
This bitch about to fuck somebody up.
Yeah,
and she's confident enough to know she just needs that one drop.
In the book,
all she needs.
In the book, wasn't the mother an older woman?
Yeah. So in the book, she was described as a woman that was so old she was sexless. Like you couldn't tell if she was male or female. She was so ancient.
Yeah.
And in the movie, that was not the case, obviously.
Michael Crichton wanted somebody that seemed more like agile and young, basically. So
for the fight scene, it made sense.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and you have this gigantic Viking just cut off the head of like this old woman. It doesn't seem like really a fair fight. That's good enough, I guess. So after all this happens, the guys are tired because like at this point this is like their third battle that they've had. Like they've traveled many miles. Like they've lost a lot of their guys. I think at this point there's 6 or 7 of them that are dead. So like they're fucking exhausted, and like they get back and they're trying to decide like what the next step is. That they've killed the queen, so they believe that the Wendell are done. That they're not going to be coming back for them. And as soon as they sort of have like this like moment of relief, with this semi anticipation of having to go back into battle at some point in time, that horn sounds again from the mountains, and the Wendell are actually attacking them this time like in broad daylight. And the final battle like is fucking epic. Bolvi walks out like a zombie. He's actively dying of the poison that the queen has infected him with.
Yeah.
And he walks out with his dog, ready to fight for one last time. It's raining its ass off, and Bolvi starts to say the prayer once more.
Lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother and my sisters and my brothers. Lo, there do I see the line of
my people. Back to the beginning.
No, they do call to me. They bid me take my place among them.
In the halls of Valhalla,
where the brave may live forever.
So
right, Tyler,
awesome.
grab your shot. We got a shot to that, dude. All right, that's fucking sick. Kalink. Fuck yeah.
Oof. Oh, I needed that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So that's an awesome scene because in the same way that the sacrificial maiden was ready to die for her master, so were the men of Bolvi ready to die for honor. And it's fucking awesome, man. Like you're ready to go to war yourself, with the culmination of that prayer. And by doing this, Bolvi makes it very clear that he knows he's going to die, but he's going to do it honorably. The other join in on the prayer, and they go to fucking war. Blood is literally washing across the screen. There's a few scenes where the screen is just covered in blood.
Yeah. I love that one scene where Bolvi, where he just take a swing of his sword right when the cavalry's coming towards him. Amazing scene.
Yeah, even the dog gets in. It gets in on it.
Dude,
it's fucking amazing, dude. Yeah. So like even the dog gets in on it. Bolvi kills the King Wendell. He lets out a scream. And you hear the Karnak's horns like once more, but this time it's for the retreat. The Wendell disappear into the mist, and at that point it's over. They find Bolvi seated on a throne. This is significant in the book because when King Vycliffe was ill, Bolvi would sit on the arm of the throne, but would not sit in the seat itself because that would be disrespectful.
Right.
Bolvi, after being poisoned, says that he'll die a pauper, but ultimately he died as king because when he finally passes, he's actually upon the throne of a king.
And that honest, I know that we were kind of interjecting our favorite scenes in the movie. For me, that was my favorite scene is when he kills. They said it was the leader, the one with the horns, was what the old lady said. And when he fucking kills him, and the battle's done, he takes his sword and smashes it into the ground, and then just sits down and dies. That was fucking cool. That was my favorite part. I was just like, dude. Super stoic part.
You remember
that's the way a Viking should go.
Yeah,
because of
in battle,
reach the halls.
Yep,
it's just perfect.
Remember that scene when he's dying before the battle, and he asked Eben basically, why do you mourn for me?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was because he even started to really care for these people, for him, because it would care for him, and because they had sort of a connection together, especially with him writing all the writings in the sand and everything else. But he cared for him, and he even shed tears for him.
Yeah,
before he wasn't even died. He wasn't even dead yet. So
yeah, there's actually a scene in the book where Bolvi and Ahmad are speaking, and he says that proverb about how but one thing never dies, and that is the reputation that we leave at death. That was there was a proverb that was said multiple times over and over again, and when Ahmad says this, Bolvi kind of smiles and touches him on the shoulder as Bolvi has touched the shoulders of the other men, kind of signifying that he's become part of the group, he's become one of them, and it's a very, very important part in the book because of that, and it's sort of I guess exemplified in that scene in the movie.
Yeah.
So with that, Lenny kind of mentioned that was also one of his his favorite scenes. What were some of your guys' favorite scenes?
The scene earlier where I'm blanking on his name, the long blonde hair, goatee gentleman when he was in the fighting ring.
Oh, Herger, yeah,
yes.
He fights Ragnar.
Yes, that scene
kind of just played
was perfect. Just showing how smart and battle tested he already has been.
Yeah.
That he knows exactly how to set up his opponent so that he's going to be in the perfect position just to take him down and just give him that good old rope-a-dope.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, that is the epitome of why I of all of the warriors, he'd be the one I'd want beside me. Going in is just his intelligence, his fighting prowess. Just seemed like to me the one, and the one who just enjoys life also.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed his character, and see him perform that fight was just perfect to me.
And before he killed that dude, he got his ass whooped, but at no point in time did you really feel like he wasn't in control of what was going on.
Yes.
That was the cool part about that.
My two, I have two scenes, and you already know the first one, the scene around when he's learning the language.
Yeah.
But also the second scene that we already talked about is that prayer at the end. It gives me chills whenever I watch that scene. It really just you're watching that and you're just like, oh, that is just amazing. Seeing these guys just they're about to fight. They're brothers. They're all close, and they're willing to die, and they don't care. They're basically saying their own funeral. Basically,
they're setting their mindset of, hey, I'm going to die, and it's okay.
So
I'm ready.
Those are probably the two scenes that I love in the movie the most.
Yeah, no, same for me. Overall, Bolvi is the real hero of the story. Ahmad is an awesome character, and you see a great arc with him becoming the man who he was to into becoming a Northman. At the same time, kind of retaining his principles,
right?
Which is very admirable. But he has his own story, but he's more or less along for the ride. He didn't even choose to be a part of this journey, this adventure that he goes on. He was more or less forced into it. Bolvi also was a man who was unexpectedly thrust into a position of not just power but responsibility. He never really asked to be a king, but he was made to be a king because with the Vikings it was a little bit different. There necessarily wasn't like a lineage where the king's son became the next king, became the next king. That king could be overthrown by a battle. And whoever was the strongest, whoever was the smartest, would become the king. It wasn't necessarily like by lineage. It was about it was more of a meritocracy.
Yeah,
which is something to be something that I think is pretty cool. So he accepts it humbly. He is so humble. He asks a stranger to teach him to write. He kills the queen and the King Wendell, and he is such a strong leader that in the final battle, he rallies his tired men with a prayer, and he fights until his death upon his rightful throne.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to our podcast, Barrel Age Flicks. We are so excited for the upcoming episodes headed your way and bonus episodes of the small batch. If you love our show, please spread the word. You can give us a follow on Instagram. Our username is BarrelFlix. We're also on Facebook as Barrel Aged Flicks. Send a like our way. If you have any questions or movie requests, you can send us a message or an email at barrelagedflicks@gmail.com. Credit to White Bat Audio, who's located on YouTube, for our background music. Thank you guys so much. It's a big help. You can also find our podcast on the following platforms: Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Spotify, Radio Public, Audible, Pocket Cast, and we're also on YouTube. We hope to see you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening.